The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. The sisters of Lazarus sent word to Jesus, saying, "Master, the one you love is ill." When Jesus heard this and said, "This illness will not end in death, but it is for the glory of God, that the Son of Man might be glorified through it." Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. So when he heard that he was ill, he remained for 2 days in the place where he was. Then after this, he said to his disciples, "Let's go up to Judea." And when Jesus arrived, he found Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went to him, but Mary sat at home. Martha said to Jesus, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now I know that whatever you ask of God, God will give you." So Jesus said to her, "Your brother will rise." And Martha said, "Oh, I know he will rise in the resurrection on the last day." And Jesus told her, "I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, even if he dies, will live, and everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this?" She said to him, "Yes, Lord. I've come to believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God, the one who is coming into the world." He became perturbed and deeply troubled and said, "Where have they laid him?" And they said to him, "Sir, come and see." And Jesus wept. So they said, "See how he loved him." But some of them said, "Could not the one who opened the eyes of the blind man have done something so that this man would not have died?" So Jesus, perturbed again, came to the tomb, and it was a cave, and the stone lay across it. And Jesus said, "Take away the stone." And Martha, the dead man's sister, said to him, "Lord, you know there will be a stench, for he has been dead for 4 days." And Jesus said to her, "Did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God?" So they took away the stone. And Jesus raised his eyes and said, "Father, I thank you for hearing me. I know that you are always near me, but because of the crowd here, I have said this, that they may believe that you sent me." And when he had said this, he cried out in a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out!" The dead man came out, tied hand and foot with burial bands, and his face wrapped in a cloth. And so Jesus said to them, "Untie him and let him go." Now many of the Jews had come to Mary and seen what had been done to believe in him. The gospel of the Lord. And Jesus wept for love. He walks away, the sun goes down, he takes the day, but I'm grown, and in your way, in this blue shade, my tears dry on their own. Well, that's the refrain from an old Amy Winehouse song. The song is called "Tears Dry on Their Own." It's the song about friendship and loss. And in many ways, this gospel today, if anything, it's an elaborate story with so many things going on, but so much like so many moments in our lives. There's just a million things going on. It's almost too much to take in. It can always be overwhelming. And it's full of friendship and love and pain and loss. The whole story is full of that. Deep, deep friendship, loving friendship. A love that really binds permanently in this life's journey and beyond, as we see in the story. And then there's pain. Real loss going on here. And then, of course, deep sorrow. And Jesus feels all of that. He feels all of that. And as deeply personal as this story is for him, and as much as he enters into all the difficulties, the mix of all of that personal stuff, he's also able, by the grace of God, I'm sure, by his own power and ability and mission, to able to understand that it's more than just that there's something greater that surrounds and envelopes, takes in all of this. There's sort of, you might say, two streams of incredibly powerful stuff going on in this story. An undercurrent and a fuller movement. And so I think there's a way in which, at least as I engage this story in this latter weeks of the Lenten season, for me, first of all, I know that I have a God who experiences the same struggles we all experience. Really difficult stuff. Despondency, loss, incredible hardships when we lose someone, especially in death, but when we lose someone in any way that we may lose them. Where love has been so deep that you know at some point the journey's going to be that you're going to feel for each other and with each other, because it's that deep and that binding, that love. And so there's a way in which this last part of the Lenten season may be inviting you and me to consider those necessary losses in our own life. And I don't want to say necessary like they were meant to be or that they should have been. No. Just losses that we all end up engaging in. Nobody's spared really. But out of those losses, we come forward from them having grown, like that old Amy Winehouse song, right? Sometimes people walk away and the sun feels like it's gone down forever. But we take the day, God takes us in the day, and we've grown. We've grown. We can't deny that. We grow into dealing with whatever the losses are. And at the same time, we may be dealing with deep personal losses. We have a world where there's a chock full of loss. Oh my God, we have a world where war is going on all over the place, wars that don't even seem necessary, wars that are capriciously probably created out of the ego or manipulation of people and power. And we're all suffering from that. And so there's this context and reality we're in, and yet there's these personal ways in which we struggle, and all of this seems like a lot to bear, right? But that's what's interesting about this Lenten journey, is that we walk with Christ into a reflection and meditation on his journey carrying his cross, and we carry it with him. And he and God, in that grace of God, sustains us through all of whatever it is we're dealing with on the personal level and as a community, as a global community, as a humanity. God may not always protect us from every single thing, but God certainly always, everywhere, and without exception, sustains us in everything. Jesus experiences that himself in this story of the loss of his friend Lazarus, in the grief that he enters into with Lazarus' sisters. And he is able to know that pain and struggle, and therefore he will step into his own pain and struggle toward Calvary and redeem every bit of our experience. Every bit of it is redeemed. Not made perfect, not fixed. That's not the point. But the point is we enter into this so that we can, in fact, always be sustained by God's grace through whatever's coming at us and whatever we're experiencing. These necessary losses that come at us, no exceptions, we all are subjected to them. We all journey in the invitation for loving relationships, as we see in this story. We should savor those and let them grow and let them be what they need to be. And know that we're still, in our own way, sometimes in a bit of a shade, not always clear on what all this means or where it's going. But never, and here's where I contradict our friend Amy Winehouse, never ever do our tears dry on their own. Our tears, our fears, our hopes, our desires, all of that is accompanied by the very presence of God. God's sustaining grace in the very marrow, the mix of all of that. Friends, we need to keep praying into the losses of our own personal lives, the struggles of those friendships that are so loving and so beautiful that at times we feel deeply each other's pain and suffering. And know, too, that we live in a world with lots of struggles and pain and suffering. And we feel that as well. But by feeling that, we know that we are alive in a life that's been given to us. Feeling all of that means, like Jesus, we can feel it and carry it and move with it, sustained by God's powerful grace. And we need to do that, not only for ourselves, but for one another and for our world. We need to move ahead with that sustaining, powerful grace in order to keep growing and keep going forward into what God is calling us to be, to become, to be present to one another and God, to be enveloped in a full beauty of God's love as we deal with whatever comes at us. Lord, if you were here, maybe my brother would not have died. But he said, know that this will all rise, and I'll rise with you. Open it up. Let life come forward. Let us go forward with one another, sustained by God's powerful grace. Amen.